His partner, his husband, Chasten Buttigieg, was close by his side the entire time. Here's some video of the two of them together during the many appearances they made together on the campaign trail. Chasten recently wrote a book. It's called I Have Something to Tell You. It's a memoir about growing up gay in the Midwest, his relationship with Pete, his hope for the future. It comes out soon. There's the book cover right there. You should pre-order it right now on Amazon or whatever book site that you choose. Chasten, congratulations on the new book. Great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. Welcome to The Issue Is.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be back in California. How are you?
Good to see you. So let's talk for a moment about your reaction tonight.
Yeah, you know, I don't get to watch your show very often because I'm here in the Midwest. So I loved your first panel. Whoever the gentleman was who said he was questioning whether or not Midwestern voters would go for what Kamala had to say this evening. I'm sitting right here in the Midwest, and I got to tell you, I was very inspired by what she had to say. And as a teacher, I'm always thinking about what my kids are seeing and what they're hearing. And I know it's past our bedtimes here in Indiana, but I'm thinking, you know, what are kids hearing before they go to bed? And I hope soon that they'll be hearing an empathetic, compassionate, loving vice president like Kamala Harris speaking on the television, and not a bigoted, homophobic president that we have in the White House right now.
Well, that's pretty pointed right there. One thing that you guys did during the campaign trail is you got to spend a lot of time with each other behind the scenes. There were so many different debates and events that you all went to, and you've gotten to know each other even better since. You and Jill Biden have done several events together in social media. Can you share some insight on who these people are, especially the spouses?
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about Jill Biden and what she's like.
Well, the first time I met her as a campaign spouse was, I believe, at the first debate. She jumped out of her seat and welcomed me and said hello, and Doug was seated right next to her, and I was struck by how kind they were, because we're all on the same team, but when you're at a debate and you're running for president, it sort of feels like dance moms, right? Like we're all hoping that our kid does the best on stage. But they were so kind, and that's why we swapped phone numbers and we kept in touch with one another. And Doug and I especially poked fun at one another at debates, texting each other fire emojis when one of our spouses would do really well. They're just really kind people, and I know there can be a lot of show wrapped around running for president, but I was always struck by their authenticity, and I appreciated it.
And Doug is Doug Imhoff, the husband of Kamala Harris, a Southern Californian. Tell us a little bit more about him.
Well, I think he's going to do a great job as second gentleman just because he's so kind, and I think that will serve him well. You have to remember, as a political spouse, you're sort of expected to be a bit of everything and nothing at the same time, right? Be a solid rock, don't mess up, step in for your spouse where you're needed, go to all of the events, say the right things, and he handles that very well. But then you're also not supposed to hog the spotlight. You've got to step back and allow your partner to run, and I think he'll be a tremendously effective second gentleman because he's just so kind. And I think I think that it's a necessary trait when you're in the public eye. And I told Doug when I reached out to him, just keep being yourself, And he has this wonderful heart about him that you can tell when you meet him, and he draws people in. And obviously, the most important thing he can do is support his wife as she takes on this role as vice president. When she comes home, she's going to need that rock at the end of the day. And I think anything he does for the country beyond that is a bonus.
Let's talk for a moment about the issue of LGBTQ rights, which you are probably as much an advocate for as anybody in public life these days. How do you see that issue, and what do you see as the big differentiator between a Trump-Pence administration and a Biden-Harris administration?
I guess the differentiator is one administration would believe in LGBTQ plus people and the other doesn't. When it comes to actually putting forward policy in a platform, for those folks earlier who were saying they wanted to know what the policies were, joebiden.com/Joe's Vision, and you can read about it. There's the comprehensive platforms put forward of how we're actually going to affect change in the LGBTQ community. But it also starts with leadership. You know, what I want to see and what I want to see for other people who identify as LGBTQ is a president who actually cares. You know, I want young kids, I want my students to look up to the White House and see an administration who sees their worth and their dignity. I don't want I don't want any more of what's coming out of this White House, which won't even name things like the violence directed towards Black trans women. You know, there could not be a bigger difference between a Biden-Harris administration and a Trump-Pence administration, that's for sure.
And I know you're coming back on our show next month to do a deep dive into your book, but can you give us a little bit of a preview?
Sure. I mean, when I was approached to write the book, I said no way. I didn't think that I could write one. But, you know, I wanted people to get to know me a little bit better. And I felt like, you know, I wanted people to sort of peek behind the curtain, what it's really like to run for president, what it's like to be wrapped up in politics. And I wanted to share my story because I feel like when we share our vulnerabilities, when we share our truths, it helps other people feel less alone. And so that's a little bit of the good I hope that comes out of the book, is just especially, you know, younger queer kids picking up the book and reading these awkward, funny stories about coming out, figuring it all out, sometimes not figuring it out, and take it for there.
And obviously, it also talks about your love affair with your husband, Pete Buttigieg. Somebody else that you have a different kind of love affair with happens to be on our panel tonight, Brian Goldsmith, who was an advisor to the Pete Buttigieg campaign, longtime friend. I just wanted to bring you two together and give you a moment, and perhaps, Chasten, to help my other friend out,
Yeah.
how important was Brian to the campaign?
Oh.
You know, I mean, I was never political at all, and I really sometimes felt like I had no idea what I was doing. And so it was very nice to be surrounded by people as brilliant as Brian, who could really help me sort of figure out, you know, exactly what I wanted to say. And it can be a hard thing to figure out, especially because you can lose yourself so easily in it. So not only did I consider Brian just, you know, an intelligent, capable person to have on my team, but also just a friend who can, you know, help you navigate that process.
Brian, your thoughts on Chasten?
I want to say something about Chasten, because this is such BS. Chasten needed no help whatsoever. He was such a natural from day one. It was unbelievable. I mean, he would get up at an event or a fundraiser and so move people because of who he is, because of his authenticity, his story, his vulnerability, his connection with anybody he meets. It was one of the most amazing things I had ever seen in my life. I mean, people were literally in tears after this guy, in a good way, after he spoke for 20 or 30 minutes. So I feel privileged just to have been around for part of the ride. And I read Chasten's book, and it's amazing, and I highly recommend it to all your viewers.
All right. Well, Chasten, we look forward to our future conversation with you. Thanks for staying up late with us. We appreciate it. And thanks for coming on The Issue Is to share your views.
You got it. Take care.
All right, Brian, we will see you in a few minutes, but we want to continue now with the Lieutenant Governor of California.